Imagine a world where electricity was never discovered. Human civilization would still exist, but life would be completely different from what we know today. Electricity powers almost every part of modern society, from communication and transportation to healthcare and education. Without it, history would have taken a very different path. For thousands of years, humans lived without electricity. Ancient civilizations such as ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and Roman Empire built impressive cities, developed agriculture, and created systems of government using only human and animal power. If electricity had never been discovered, societies would likely have continued improving these methods. Transportation would rely mainly on horses, camels, sailing ships, and steam-powered machines. Cars, airplanes, electric trains, and modern subways would not exist. Traveling between countries could take weeks or even months. Global trade would be slower, making products more expensive and less accessible. Communication would also be very limited. There would be no smartphones, computers, television, internet, or social media. People would depend on handwritten letters, newspapers, and face-to-face conversations. News from distant places could take days or weeks to arrive. Knowledge would spread much more slowly than it does today. Healthcare would face major challenges. Many medical devices, including X-ray machines, MRI scanners, ventilators, and laboratory equipment, require electricity. Without these inventions, doctors would have fewer tools to diagnose and treat diseases. Life expectancy would likely be lower, and many illnesses that are treatable today could remain deadly. Education would be different as well. Students would learn from printed books and classroom lectures. Online learning, digital libraries, and educational videos would not exist. Research would progress more slowly because scientists would have limited access to advanced tools and global collaboration. Cities would look very different at night. Streets and homes would be lit by candles, oil lamps, or gas lamps instead of electric lights. Factories would depend on steam engines, water wheels, or windmills. Productivity would be lower, and many tasks would require more physical labor. Despite these limitations, humans would still innovate. Engineers might develop more efficient mechanical technologies powered by wind, water, and steam. Communities could become more local and self-sufficient. People might spend more time interacting directly with family and neighbors rather than through digital devices. In conclusion, a world without electricity would be slower, quieter, and less connected. Many modern conveniences and scientific achievements would not exist. However, human creativity and determination would still drive progress. Civilization would continue to grow, but along a very different path from the one that shaped our modern world. Another major difference would be the economy. Modern banks, stock markets, and digital payment systems depend heavily on electricity. Without it, people would use physical cash, coins, gold, and paper records for all transactions. Businesses would need large numbers of workers to maintain records manually. International trade would be slower because information about prices, shipments, and contracts could not be transmitted instantly. Entertainment would also be very different. There would be no television, streaming platforms, video games, or online content. Instead, people would spend their free time reading books, attending theater performances, listening to live music, playing outdoor games, and participating in community events. Storytelling and local cultural traditions would likely play a much larger role in everyday life. Scientific progress would continue but at a slower pace. Many important discoveries in physics, chemistry, biology, and astronomy rely on electrical instruments. Powerful telescopes, satellites, and space exploration programs would not exist. Humans might never have reached the moon, and our understanding of the universe would be far more limited. Weather forecasting would also be less accurate, making it harder to prepare for natural disasters. Agriculture would depend more on human labor, animals, windmills, and water-powered machinery. Food production would be lower than today, meaning cities might remain smaller and populations could grow more slowly. Many people would continue living in rural areas and working on farms. Environmental effects could be mixed. On one hand, there would be fewer electronic devices and less electronic waste. On the other hand, greater reliance on coal, wood, and other fuels for lighting and power could increase pollution in many regions. Ultimately, a world without electricity would not be a world without progress. Humans would still invent, build, and explore. However, civilization would advance through mechanical power rather than electrical technology. Daily life would be more local, slower, and physically demanding, creating a very different version of human history from the one we know today. Government and administration would also operate very differently in a world without electricity. Managing large countries would be much more difficult because officials could not communicate instantly across long distances. Important messages would travel by mail, couriers, ships, or trains, often taking days or weeks to reach their destinations. As a result, local governments might have greater authority, and decision-making could be slower. Military technology would be less advanced as well. Modern radar systems, drones, satellites, guided missiles, and electronic communication networks would not exist. Armies would depend on traditional weapons, mechanical equipment, and direct human coordination. Wars could be fought differently, with a greater emphasis on manpower and logistics rather than advanced technology. Architecture and city plan would also change. Buildings would be designed to maximize natural sunlight and ventilation because electric lighting and air conditioning would not be available. Cities might contain more open spaces, larger windows, and wider streets to improve comfort and visibility. Perhaps the biggest difference would be humanity's relationship with time. Today, people expect instant communication, rapid transportation, and immediate access to information. Without electricity, life would move at a slower pace. People would spend more time with their families, communities, and local environments. While many modern conveniences would be absent, society might place greater value on personal relationships, craftsmanship, patience, and self-reliance. The world would be less connected globally but potentially more connected at the local level.